Welcome on into WFRV Plus Sports Night. It's the Tuesday before, well, technically like a Friday, but the Tuesday before the Wednesday that leads into the Thursday, which is game day for the Green Bay Packers. Hey everyone, Cameron is here with you per usual, riding solo here on this, like I said, Tuesday, but odd week because it is a short week with the Packers playing on Sunday, taking down the Vikings 23-6, and then quick turnaround as they did from week 1 to week 2, and we saw how successful that was off a Lions win to then take down the Commanders. Now they're hoping that it reverses in a way. You beat the Vikings, and now you can beat the Lions. The Packers heading for a Thanksgiving contest, and I think every person that is around the Packers understands that Thanksgiving is an annual thing for teams like the Packers and the Cowboys and the Lions. And just as it was 2 years ago with Green Bay going into Detroit, the Packers hoping they can repeat that effort in which they beat the Lions 29-22, got off to a fast start. And that was a game that shocked a lot of people because the Lions were on the up and up. And that's when the Packers really made their push to the playoffs, in which they ended up making all the way to the divisional round after taking down the Cowboys in the wild card round. But let's get to Thursday's game. The Lions, after that loss to the Packers in week 1, have seemingly found themselves at times. 5 games, following that loss to the Packers, it seemed like, okay, maybe that was an anomaly. And then the Lions have fallen in a few instances, one to the Eagles, in which they really couldn't get their offense going. And then that loss to the Vikings that kind of came out of nowhere, that 19-17 defeat that you're kind of scratching your head, especially because of how J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings played the Packers this last week, where now McCarthy's in concussion protocol and the Vikings look like a shell of what they were expected to be with McCarthy at the helm. The Packers, on the other hand, when they won their 3 games in a row, there was somewhat of an inconsistency issue where you kind of wondered which unit was stepping up, right? Because that the win over the Cardinals, the Bengals, and the Steelers, they got to that Steelers game and looked great in the second half after looking really good in the fourth quarter of the Arizona game. And then against the Bengals, the first half looked okay. The third quarter looked really good leading into the fourth quarter because I think they scored a majority of their points in the fourth. It's just confusing. Like, what are you going to get with this team? And the defense was good, and the offense was subpar and good at the same time. Then you lose the 2 to Carolina and Philadelphia. All of this is to say, and lacking of a singular term, this team's just darn confusing. But I feel like they've hit their quote-unquote stride. And what I mean by that is, no, are the Green Bay Packers perfect? They're not. And they're the first to admit that. But when you need to win games, just as they did against the Giants, you needed that final drive, they came up. The defense said, we didn't play up to our standard the first 3.5 quarters. You forced that interception, that strip sack to end the game thanks to Micah Parsons. Now the defense has some sort of a rhythm. In that Vikings game, the defense looked incredible in the second half, probably got gashed a little more than they would have wanted to in the run game in the first half. But the offense played okay, but then special teams showed up. Again, it's a week-to-week league. You don't know what version of a team you're going to get. And that's why the Lions are 6-4 or 7-4, pardon me, and the Packers are 7-3-1, and a team like the Bears are 8-3. Even though I think we can all agree the 2 NFC North contenders are the Packers and the Lions, which is what makes this game so riveting. Noon, Thanksgiving, turkey legs on the line, Jahmyr Gibbs coming off a 200-plus yard rushing game. The Packers hopefully getting Josh Jacobs back. We had our only media session with the Packers today in the locker room. We didn't get to talk to Josh, but he did tell us last week that the worst case scenario was he wouldn't play against the Vikings, which he didn't, but he would play against the Lions. So you got a stout run game for Detroit, but also guys they can just get out of the backfield. You know that the Lions are going to want to get the ball out quick because they have the operation to do so, and they don't want the Packers pass rush to get home. And on the opposite side, you have a Packers defense that looks incredible and an offense that looks so-so. And they would admit to it too because of health and so many other reasons. But the O-line just played a great game against the Vikings. The wide receiving core didn't really need to get involved. Are we going to see as much Emmanuel Wilson? Probably not, because Josh Jacobs expected to come back. So there's a lot going into this matchup that we don't know, which is why I think it's smarter to cut off my bloviating and the soliloquy I just opened up the show with and get to the guys that are actually going to be on the field. Let's start with Jordan Love. a guy who dealt with injury in that Vikings contest. It was reported by ESPN's Adam Schefter and a bevy of sources, an AC joint sprain in his left shoulder, which for those that aren't, you know, medically inclined, as I am not, I was curious of what that was. It's a separated shoulder. So you can assume that if it was on his right shoulder, he would not be playing football for a little bit, but luckily on his left shoulder. So was able to go out there against the Vikings, but didn't have the game that maybe people wanted him to have, even though the situation didn't present for him to have that type of game. The Packers going run, run, run was the best situation for them, which means we really haven't seen the full effect of Jordan Love over the last month outside of the second half against the Giants, because the loss to Philly and the loss to Carolina, you kind of were scratching your head with Jay Love. So let's chat with Jay Love, as we did earlier today, about all things going into this game, including an update on how his shoulder feels. Listen in.
Like 10, maybe 10.
4.
He's tired. It's the week we're in. He's tired.
I'll be honest, not sure what that first question was.
How much pain were you in with the shoulder during the game, or was it just more protecting it?
Yeah, no, it's one of those things where, I'm able to play through it. Obviously, anytime you take a hit, fall on it, you'll feel it. But nothing that is holding me back or nothing I can't play through.
How many games have you played where you just used one hand for your handoffs?
Not too many games. I think early on when, I had my thumb surgery, I was doing a lot with just right hand. And I think, I just kind of subconsciously started doing that in this game.
Did you guys have to practice that last week, the run on the right-hand side? No?
No.
Are you holding it backhanded when you do that?
Yeah, some of them, yeah. Yeah, handing off backhanded.
So Jordan, you've had two things this year: a thumb and a shoulder. Do you just thankful that it was the left side, not the right side?
Definitely.
Do you ever think about that?
No, definitely, yeah, for sure. Anytime you're dealing with anything, definitely would rather the non-throwing shoulder. You don't want to. I couldn't imagine, dealing with something on the throwing arm, trying to deal, especially the thumb or a shoulder. So definitely thankful for that.
If this was the throwing shoulder, would you not be able to play?
I have no idea. I haven't dealt with that on a throwing shoulder. So that's a good question. I have no idea how you'd play through it, or I don't know. I haven't been there before.
You said it was subconscious. Did your running backs know you were going to do that? Did Matt know that was the plan coming in, or was it really just, it just happened?
No, something just happened. Yeah, just something that just happened.
What did Matt say on the sideline after a few of those?
Nothing. I don't think it's anything that throws anything off. Okay. I think it's still fine for the running backs, and I don't even think they notice. So, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah. Hey Jordan, I don't want to disrespect you and call you a liar when it comes to this, but Baker Mayfield suffers the same injury and he can't finish the game. I watched Carson Wentz in excruciating pain with the exact same injury. So how are you managing it, and how are you playing through it? Because I understand the expectation with Favre and Rodgers is you play through everything, and I know you're doing that, but there's no way that it's not a burden for you, is it?
Yeah, it's an injury. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but with those guys, I'm not sure, what exactly their injuries are. I think every injury is a little bit different, and how guys feel from it. So it's something that, we've done the test and kind of looked at it and examined it during the game. And it was something that, we felt I could play through and go out there and continue to play through, and that's what we did.
So what can you, because again, they obviously are aware of it too, right? The Lions are. What are you able to do, not just from a game planning perspective or a handoff perspective, but actually, are there things you can do to protect it, to reduce the danger of getting hit on it, or are there things you're able to do to reduce how bad it is?
Yeah, there's things that you were able to do, and we've done those things. So, we'll continue to do them, but, I'm not going to just continue to get into detail and talk through it, but there's definitely some things that we've done to help out and be able to play it and hopefully, put myself in the best foot forward. But at the end of the day, anytime you're injured playing through things, there's always chance of, risking, more injuries, things like that. So, yeah.
But it also stems from that play early in the Giants game.
Yeah, the play I took a hit on. Yep, that's exactly what it comes from.
2 years ago, Thanksgiving, what do you think that performance in Detroit did for this young core, its confidence, and the franchise moving forward from that point?
It was big time. I think, going into that game, the kind of situation we're in the season, needing to win out and win all those games. And, I think we went out there, and obviously we're playing against a really good Lions team. And, I think we answered the call that we needed to do, and we made a lot of big-time plays in that game, and we're able to come out on top. So I think, it kind of helped us into that season with confidence and just propelled us into the finish in the season and to go into playoffs. But I think it's always confidence boosters, and we got another opportunity to be able to go in there on Thanksgiving and on a short week and play another good Lions team.
Jordan, I guess at this point, where do you say the team confidence level is, especially coming off the performance you guys had on Sunday?
Yeah, I think coming off 2 wins in a row was great. I think it's always going to build that confidence, and 2 weeks that we did what we needed to do. And I think the mindset, like I've said before, is always going 1-0, and we know what we got in front of us, and obviously a tough test to finish the season off. But love where we're at. We're in a great spot, and just got to keep stacking days and hopefully trending up and continue to play our best ball towards the end of the season.
Jordan, personally for you, you won the game on Thanksgiving there 2 years ago. Last year you go into Detroit prime time on a Thursday night. You guys get down early, you come back, you had the lead, you kind of lose back and forth game. When you come walking out of the tunnel in a visiting stadium, does that matter from like kind of the vibe, the psyche part that it's like, you think about the past experiences and the success that you've had?
Yeah, I think anytime playing somewhere, you'll remember those games and the feelings of being there. But, as we always say, every year's a new year. Every kind of game's a new journey in itself. But, you have the memories of playing in certain places and the feelings of those games.
Aiden Hutchinson, back in week 1, the interception that was called back, he hits you into Zach Tom. Zach injures his oblique. That's an illegal penalty. Is that a dirty hit by Aiden there? And what do you think about that now, 13 weeks later, getting set to face him again?
Yeah, I don't think nothing of it. I think a play happened, interception, and guys are always going to try and find the quarterback to try and block him. So I don't think nothing of it. Just a play that happened.
What's different about this Lions team than compared to what you guys saw in week 1?
I think looking at their film, it's a similar team. I think obviously it was just week 1. You never know what you're going to get coming into the new season. And now we've got a lot of tape to watch and kind of game plan differently. But, similar team. I think they've dealt with some injuries. We have as well. So that always plays a factor. But I don't think much has changed with them.
What can Jake Reed add to this offense whenever he does return?
Just another explosive playmaker to have out there. I think the things he does is great. And, I think we've been missing some of that. But, he'll be another kind of consistent guy to have in the slot. And I think we all know what he can bring to the table when he's out there. So just got to hopefully get him back as soon as possible.
Jordan, how do you get, after 12 weeks of the season, 11 games, how do you find the next level of consistency that's evaded you to this point?
Yeah, you just got to keep stacking those days, man, and keep trying to be as consistent as possible as a player and as a team. Keep building on the good things we've done, and obviously trying to limit the negative things and just cleaning up, like I said before, the details. Everybody being on the same page, and that's what's cool about the season is as you go through it, you see a lot of different looks, and obviously you can coach up the things that we've done wrong and try and just keep stacking and improving on those, be as best as possible.
And we'll see if consistency is a mark of this Packers team. That was a brain fart right there. A big game going on. Syracuse, Kansas in college basketball. And of course, my head just turns to that. We're focusing on the Packers. We'll see if consistency is something that they can find, especially offensively, because even though they scored 27 against the Giants and 23 against the Vikings, were 4 for 4 in the red zone in that Giants win. And then against the Vikings had to settle for a few field goals. Just felt like at times there's more to do, right? Because in that Vikings game, if the muff punt doesn't happen, doesn't set them up inside the 10-yard line to allow Emmanuel Wilson to rush in for that 1-yard score, a game could be completely different. Green Bay only had 10 points in the first half. So we'll see. And I think that Jordan Love understands that, hey, if the shoulder is where it's at, and it's probably going to be where it's at for a little bit, and he can play through it. Against the Lions, you sometimes got to let it rip because Detroit's either going to score 42 on you or you can mitigate them like you did back in week 1. But with the pace that Jahmyr Gibbs is going at, I don't know if this team can. But the defense, again, looking great. So like I had mentioned before, a lot of confusion, but at least you can say your quarterback is healthy and your quarterback is confident in the approach. We're going to take a break on WFRV Plus Sports Night. When we come back, we're going to hear from Micah Parsons. Just love hearing about his attitude. And by attitude, I don't mean in a sassy way. I'm saying his attitude and his mentality approaching the game. And he brought up a very funny, I want to say, analogy or just moment in his life that explains it a little bit more. So that'll be next on the show. And we're back. WFRV Plus Sports Night. The Packers taking on the Lions on Thanksgiving, Thursday, noon game. Turkey legs on the line. After that win over the Vikings, we asked Micah Parsons, you excited to play on Thanksgiving? He said, yeah, I want that turkey leg. Okay, what else does Micah have to say? Hear from the Packers star DN right now.
From your experience, what's the most important thing a player has to do when you got 3 days to prepare for a big-time game like Thursday?
Recovery and mentality. Just understanding, get the gist. Like, you obviously don't get the full game plan week. You just try to squeeze it in. So you got to do more time on your own or have an understanding of how you're going to be attacked. So just more in the mental and just recovery.
More than any other player I've seen, you pride yourself on just not tiring of late in the games, taking over games. So when you have a short week, does that amplify your area of expertise there? Does that help? Do you think you have an advantage?
Yeah, I probably have the advantage. No doubt in my mind. I got the advantage. And it's just like the mentality of just like, we're all hurt, we're all banged up, but who's going to play harder?
What gives you that advantage? Just your tenacity or just
mindset? Like, they're not going to outplay me. Like, I get, like, you know, they probably got one of the best duo tackles in the league. It's cool. I feel like we got one of the best rush duos in the league. So I'm already anticipating the game plan and the matchup. I'm excited about it.
Like obviously your mindset is a huge part of it, but what percentage of it is also just your conditioning, your superior athletic ability? What's the, how much is what's the balance there? Or is it?
I would probably say God is 95. You know what I mean? Because, like, he designed me, you know what I mean? So he's probably about the other 95. And then I would say 2.5% is me, and then 2.5% is the mentality part, like how I'm built, you know. And, you know, and I feel like if you look at, like, all the great players, I listen to all of them speak. I speak of, like, Kobe, Jordan, the flu games, the Game 6 in 97 when he's like, I'm dog tired. Like, you know, he's got 45 points and he comes up with that big stop and he ends the game. Like, there's a similarity in all greatness. And the more you try to find that greatness is the more you try to obtain it. You all, even Kevin Garnett, I listened to his motivational speak about, like, he's like, I just hate to lose, and that's just me. Like, I really hate to lose. Like, there was a time I was playing game night with my girl, and she went against me, and I lost, and I didn't speak to her for about 2 days. You know what I mean? So, like, it's just like that mindset, just hate to lose. Like, I hate to lose. I hate the feeling of someone beat me. I hate the feeling of someone stopped me. Like, you know, we're all tired. We all get tired. That's normal. We all have fear. That's normal. We all, you know, we all have injuries, challenges of what we got to go through to get ready for the game. I think those is all normal, but what's not normal and what you have to develop is the mentality of pushing when we're tired, pushing when we're hurt. You know, it's challenging, but when you get into that space, you find a lot of room to grow in it.
What game was it?
Scattergories, dog. Yeah, I like Scattergories, dog. You know, there's times like, you know, I hate to say it, but I think this is the only time I'm like a prima donna in life is when I'm playing them board games. And now I got certain family members that don't even want to play unless they're on my team because they either might get kicked out or excluded from the rest of the activities for the week if they go against me.
Isn't that the truest thing you've ever heard? For a professional athlete, for a professional athlete or just anyone in general, honestly, that just shows you how human these guys are. I'm the same way. I don't think I have a temper, but hey, if I lose, I'm not going to feel good. You can't just go right back to normal conversation. And that just shows the competitor Micah Parsons is. And he proved it even more after recording those 2 sacks against the Vikings, got up to 10 on the season. So his first 5 years in the NFL with 10 or more sacks in each. And that stretch is only second to Reggie White. And of course, the Packers great. And we asked him about it. He said, of course, I'm appreciative, but for the standard of player I am, that's the minimum. And that just shows the mentality. And that's why I think this Packers defense has really come together. And something that I felt was very transformative in that game was that third quarter in which Parsons had those 2 sacks, and then Devontae Wyatt sacked J.J. McCarthy a few times. And the energy that came out of the pores of Micah Parsons not just proves how much he likes to play with this team, but the scheme he's in the system, and just his level of excitement in general of how he is played double, triple team. So when he gets through, it just means more. And yeah, we're seeing it at the full effect, and you got to do it against an experienced quarterback like Jared Goff, because great, you did it against J.J. McCarthy and Jameis Winston. And as much as Winston's played just as much football as Goff, maybe not to the level of Jared Goff, or at least as of recent, but got to prove it against a good offensive line that lost their center to retirement, and then a really, really good quarterback that has weapons all the way around. When we come back on WFRV Plus Sports Night, we're going to wrap up the show here from a couple other guys, Xavier McKinney, Evan Williams, Rashawn Gary, and we'll say goodbye for now as we get you ready even more so for Packers-Lions on Thursday, Thanksgiving noon ball game. We'll be right back. Welcome on back. Let's wrap up the show here on WFRV Plus Sports Night. Cameron Ezair with you. We're going to hear from a couple other guys in the locker room talking about a bevy of topics. We're going to start with the guy that leads this team in interceptions this season. No, it's not Xavier McKinney. This year it's Evan Williams, who has 3 back-to-back games with picks. Yeah, Giants and Vikings. So let's hear from number 33 in the locker room today.
I know he plays mostly on special teams, but what is he just like on a day-to-day around here in your room?
Yeah, I mean, that's a guy that does all the little things right, has all the right habits, and is a guy that constantly challenges,
This right here, question about Zane Anderson, who had that huge play over the weekend.
He does that by, you see him practicing his habits. He's not even in the reps, and you see him, behind during walkthroughs, getting those mental reps, stacking all of those repetitions so that, when he gets his opportunity, he makes plays like he did, on Sunday. And, yeah, it's really, really not a surprise, at this point. He's a guy that just does everything the right way. And I remember last year, he gets his opportunity against the Saints, against, a couple of teams, and gets a pick, is balling out. So, yeah, as far as, his habits and just how he approaches the game, his mental approach, second to none.
Who gave him the White Lightning nickname?
Not me. I'm not honestly too sure who gave him White Lightning. I literally the first time I heard it was today, like during the walkthrough. I don't know. I can't give any props. Okay. Yeah, as of right now.
Evan, how different are the Lions from that Week 1 matchup to now? And then maybe on the other side, how different are you guys from that Week 1 matchup to now?
Yeah, definitely a little bit of a different team. Both aspects, I feel like we're a different team as far as, every team is a lot different than, Week 1. You go through the wins, through the losses, and, you learn how to play without people. You have injuries throughout the year. So I feel like we're definitely a more battle-tested group, a group that's had to deal with that adversity and, has come out on the other side. As of, Detroit, they've changed things up a little bit as far as their scheme. They're using zero a little more in the pass game, changed up their play caller. So, every team through the season, they make adjustments. They make, little tweaks to their game to, try to keep up with, how the league is kind of running. And so, you see that with both of our teams, and I'm sure they feel like they're battle tested as well. So, it's just going to come down to whoever, plays their rules the best and, puts that play style on tape.
I think they win on fourth. Like I said, I've been saying process never changed for us. Obviously.
This right here, Xavier McKinney on finally getting takeaways. It finally happened.
But I know like if you stick to your process and you don't get too worried or whatever the case may be, eventually things will start to turn over. And I think that's been happening for us. So I think everybody's seeing that now. So we just got to keep it going now.
I like playing good teams, Xavier. The Lions are a good team. Do you personally like match up with the best of the best?
Yeah, for sure. It's always fun to go out there and compete with them. And I think even, of last year, we went 0-2 against them. And so, we got a different mindset. We want to go 2-0 against them this year, but we know we got to be on our P's and Q's. But also at the same time, like we're going to Detroit to handle business, and it's as simple as it gets.
You came out of
Xavier also telling us in the locker room, regardless of it being a divisional game and we understand the importance of it, we want to make a statement saying Detroit, they chirp a lot and we have to stay on our grind and stay in our process, as he was saying. And Evan Williams even chiming in on the importance of this game against the Lions, further commenting, hey, in the building, we always say this game counts as 2. The division game. And even for a guy like Williams hurt himself last year, I think in the Lions games, we said that playing the Lions is always personal to him. Even Tucker Kraft last year, I remember this one so vividly, said the same thing. Like, this one always feels personal. It feels more. I think when he first got into the league, Tucker, that is, and of course not playing for the rest of the season, but said he hadn't beaten the Lions, so that game just means a little more. And after beating him in week 1, you understand the Lions will be a lot hungrier at home in their own place. And I say hungrier, no pun intended, with the game being on Thanksgiving. I want to close out the show by playing this Rashawn Gary soundbite about playing on Thanksgiving, because I do think it is very much unique, even though the Packers are used to playing on the holiday. But here's Rashawn Gary on why he enjoys playing on Turkey Day.
Rashawn, I know you've got a number of games on Thanksgiving, but what does it mean to play on Thanksgiving, a primetime game like this?
It's an honor and privilege. Like I just got done saying, this is something that I used to, wake up early, beg my mom to, turn on the TV, start cooking a little bit earlier, get the food prep so I could watch games like this. So just being able to, being a kid memory growing up, it's something that you could dream for. So it's a blessing.
How different is this?
I think that's just so cool, right? These guys understand playing under the primetime lights is one thing, but to garner the attention of families that are sitting around enjoying time with each other, enjoying food, the festivities, and knowing that they are watching you play or have you on in the background and you're a part of their Thanksgiving, I think is so cool. Well, I hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving. We should be back tomorrow on WFRV+, but Packers-Lions, that game noon on Thursday should be a good one. Thanks again for tuning in, and we will see you, around the corner. Maybe tomorrow, next day. We'll see.